I've been getting a lot of questions lately about how AI is changing SEO. Questions like, is AI going to kill SEO? Is ChatGPT going to replace Google as the English-speaking world's default search tool? How important is it that large language models know about my business? How can I get better visibility in AI search? Well, look, our core values at Longtail Dragon include innovating continuously and helping small businesses thrive in the modern marketplace. So it was important to me personally that we have some accurate, actionable answers to all of these questions. In this video, I'm going to give you some data-driven insights into the effect that AI is having on SEO, the prognosis of SEO as a marketing channel, and steps you can take to future-proof your digital marketing efforts. Let's start with the first question. Is AI killing SEO? Yes and no. So far, the biggest single change AI is having on search is AI overviews. Those obnoxious and not very accurate answers to your questions that keep showing up on top of the Google search results page. And as you can tell from my tone, I don't like them very much, but Google didn't ask my opinion. They don't really care what I think. So those AI overviews are probably here to stay. That might be bad news for your SEO because AI overviews are stealing clicks from your website. Research is showing that over half of search users don't even click links anymore. Users are increasingly getting their answers directly from AI overviews and featured snippets. Zero-click search was already a big deal because of old school feature snippets. But AI overviews have just blown that up in the last 4 months since Google rolled out that feature. These days, even if you're ranked on the first page of Google, if that page has an AI overview on it, and I think about roughly a third of them do, you're probably seeing about 35% less traffic from those results than you used to. I'm starting to see this effect in our clients' Google Search Console performance reports. Like here's an example from a real client who, even though search visibility has been on this nice upward trajectory all year, clicks have been going the opposite direction since the AI overview rollout. Here's another client. This one's got like a longer time delay before the effect kicks in, but just looking at it, it's clearly the same phenomenon, right? Now, for the most part, it's not usually quite this dramatic. More typically what I'm seeing is that impressions are growing, but clicks are just trailing a little bit rather than dipping. That's harder to attribute definitively to AI overviews, but like ultimately it doesn't matter why it's happening, right? If organic search is going to bring you less traffic for the same results, then your SEO team needs to be thinking about how to claw back some of that traffic. On that note, there is a little bit of a silver lining to AI overviews. If you can manage to get listed as a source in AI overviews, you're 80% more likely to get clicked than if you aren't listed. 1.08% doesn't that might not sound like a very exciting click-through rate, but I mean, it beats 0.5%. So getting ranked in AI overviews is going to be a big deal in SEO from now on. What about the second question? Will LLMs such as ChatGPT replace Google in the future? They'd certainly like to try. LLMs are rolling out products which they hope are going to compete with Google. For example, ChatGPT came out with ChatGPT Search. And early adopters are finding the experience so much better than traditional search that Google's even rolled out their own version, their AI mode, to try to keep up. But how widespread is the adoption of these new tools? Are they replacing Google? Well, not yet. Google took a little bit of a hit to their share of search, but they're still sitting pretty at just shy of 90%. So don't fire your SEO or your Google Ads teams just yet. So far, referral traffic from LLMs is small. It's a drop in the bucket. This isn't a very scientific analysis. I just looked at a couple of my clients, but let's say Google Organic accounts for 28% of your traffic in a typical month. Bing will probably be about 1%, DuckDuckGo will be about half of that, Yahoo will be about half that again, and then ChatGPT will be all the way down at like 0.1%. If Google organic accounts for 60% of your site traffic, ChatGPT will probably be about 0.5%. So that's not terribly exciting yet, right? Well, hold your horses. Don't dismiss LLMs as a marketing channel just yet. Traffic from AI is up over 500% in the last year. And that, at that pace, at the pace things are changing right now, it may be up higher than that by the time I post this. The environment's so chaotic. So yes, we're still in the early stages of AI search, but this is clearly a rapidly growing traffic channel. On top of that, LLM traffic can be 50% to 200% more likely to convert than organic search traffic, depending on which LLM the referral is coming from. And that's probably happening because the earlier stages of your customer's buyer's journey are happening inside the chat conversation. They're not just learning that you exist inside of ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Grok or whatever. They're looking at your reviews, they're asking questions about your pricing, they're comparing you to your competitors, all before ever arriving on your site. So by the time they finally do arrive on your site, they've already made a purchase decision and they're ready to pull the trigger. So even if LLMs aren't bringing you that much traffic today, that doesn't mean you're necessarily not being talked about. And it matters how you're being talked about relative to your competitors. Like, who cares how often you come up in ChatGPT if ChatGPT is telling your potential customers, these guys suck, so you should buy from their competitor instead. So it's not just visibility that matters in AI search, but it's sentiment as well. You need ChatGPT to talk about you a lot and to talk about you positively. If you can get it to do that, you might be seeing substantially more than 0.5% of your traffic coming from these systems and substantially more than a 50% higher conversion rate. So that's why it's really critical to start optimizing for LLM search. And hold that thought, because we've developed a system to help you with that. More on that in a minute. But back to our question, is AI going to kill Google? It hasn't yet, but will it? Well, look, I don't have a crystal ball, and neither does anybody else. If anybody claims to know exactly what the search landscape is going to look like in 5 years, they're full of it. But it does seem to me that Google is in some trouble right now, and not just because they've been blindsided by all this AI tech. Industry experts are forecasting a massive drop in search traffic in the next year or two, partially driven by AI and some other factors. Let's take a look at some of those other factors. If you're as terminally online as I am, you've probably heard the term enshittification by now. Enshittification describes the typical rise and fall of online platforms. First, they're good to their users. That's how they build up their user base in the first place. Then they start to abuse their users to make things better for their customers. Then they abuse their customers to try to claw back value for themselves and their shareholders, sending themselves down the slippery slope into obsolescence. You saw this happen to, if you're a little older, you saw this happen to like Facebook. More recently, you've seen this process happen with your Netflix account, right? When Netflix came out, it was crazy cheap. They had almost every movie you could ever want to watch. And even their original content was pretty good. Now it's expensive, it's filled with slop, and is Netflix ad-supported? I don't even know. I haven't had Netflix in several years, but I'm pretty much an Amazon guy these days, but Amazon has gone through the exact same enshittification process, and they are ad-supported. And Google has been undergoing that process too. In my estimation, Google's sitting right about here. Now, there's no ironclad rule that says enshittification has to happen. Google or Netflix or Amazon could pull themselves out of this death spiral if they really wanted to. But the incentives aren't aligned for that. Their shareholders would revolt if they backed off the onslaught of ads, for example. And I'm just not seeing much evidence that Google has a stomach for that kind of heat or for any of the other moves it would take to forestall obsolescence. Now look, the stronger a platform's monopoly position, the farther down the slippery slope they can slide before feeling any financial pain, which is why, again, Google still controls almost 90% of search, despite sliding that far down the slippery slope. But regardless of how strong their monopoly position is, the farther down that slope they slide, the more vulnerable they get for a disruption. And in my estimation, Google is very ripe for a disruption because we already have a number of alternatives. Users have a bias towards Google because it's just the default option. But sooner or later, the pain of the status quo is going to overcome the pain of change, and Google will cease to be the default search tool. So, is AI going to be the new Google? It's hard to say. When talking about AI, it's always hard to distinguish the sizzle from the steak, to differentiate the hype and hyperbole from the essence and the substance. And again, I don't have a crystal ball, but from where I'm sitting, the way things are looking today, ChatGPT Search, or one of its competitors, are looking like the likeliest candidates to be the next Google. So, we agree, you need to rank in AI overviews and LLMs, but how do you actually do that? Well, first things first, whatever you do, don't stop investing in your SEO. And if you're not currently working on SEO, it's time to start. Here's why. AI overviews draw very heavily from the top 10 organic results. So traditional SEO is still essential for getting that position 0 spot. Additionally, LLM search is basically just a traditional search engine with a natural language user interface. And that's doubly true for ChatGPT search specifically, since it's partially relying on Bing's search index, and there's even been some chatter about ChatGPT using Google when it doesn't like Bing's results, which is kind of funny. So ChatGPT is literally a traditional search engine with an LLM wrapper around it. And so that means that visibility is still going to be determined by all the traditional ranking factors: content, links, page speed, structured data, all the things your SEO team is already thinking about. So traditional SEO matters as much as it ever did for ranking in AI overviews and LLM search. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be thinking about what steps you can take over and above your SEO efforts. And to that end, we've developed some solutions that we're really excited about. Longtail Dragon has put together an AI optimization service, or what the marketing nerds are calling generative engine optimization, as an optional add-on to our SEO services. Now here's what that will include. So basic AI and generative engine optimization is going to be included in every SEO package by default. You heard that right. If you already have an SEO plan with us, we're already doing basic GEO for you at no extra cost. Just because we love you. Not in a weird way. Just, don't make it weird. The basic tier of GEO includes an LLM discoverability audit that will just help to make sure that LLMs can crawl your website properly. It will also include LLMs.txt, which is it's sort of like a sitemap for LLMs. It just kind of tells LLMs what your important pages and posts are. And all content produced in the course of an SEO campaign is going to be optimized for LLM ingestion and summary. This is one of the reasons we prefer the expert interview approach to your content creation, if you've been using that. That approach is calibrated to produce the kind of content AI systems love to ingest, because it's fundamentally produced by you, the subject matter expert on what you do. Over and above basic GEO, we have 3 premium offerings to help improve your brand visibility and sentiment in AI overviews and LLM search. These deliverables are designed to get you talked about more often and more positively across more places on the web, which will help influence AI training data and retrieval sources in your favor. Based on the best research, this is the best way to improve both visibility and sentiment in LLMs. And the neat thing is, just about everything in this list is also going to help your SEO. So not only are we improving your performance in AI, but we're pouring more fuel on the SEO fire at the same time, which I just think is really cool. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to longtaildragon.com/GEO, and you are going to find the Get Started form. You're going to fill out the information there and hit submit, and we will reach out to you with a plan and customized recommendations for you. And the first 3 customers who submit this form are going to get a 20% discount on their GEO plan. We hope that this is going to fill an important need for your marketing footprint at this time. The search landscape is in so much chaos right now, and that's going to cause a little bit of anxiety. But I think we've calibrated this service specifically to address the sources of that anxiety, and I think we've timed this just perfect. Our customers who sign up for GEO are going to be on the bleeding edge. This is the earliest possible time that it makes sense to do a move like this. Any earlier, we wouldn't have had great research on how to do it properly, and the growth that we're currently seeing in LLM search would not have justified the investment. But now we're seeing this hockey stick graph of AI being used as a search engine, and we're just turning that corner. So I think this is the ideal time to be an early mover, get an early mover advantage over your competition, and dominate the new frontier of search moving forward. Hope to see you there.